What a performance by the LA Rams in Arizona on Monday night. They beat Minnesota. They move on to the divisional round. They'll face the Eagles, and Sean McVay wins his 8th career postseason game, extending his own record for most wins by a head coach before turning 40. That's right, Sean McVay is still just 38 years old, and he'll have an opportunity to add to that total against the Eagles on Sunday afternoon right here on TSN. And look who joins us from Arizona. It's Farhan Lalji, our NFL reporter. Great to see him. He looks wonderful in jeans and shoes. The Rams win all facets of this game, Farhan. How impressive, first of all, how impressive was this performance by the Rams defense?
Well, first of all, Jay, you know how this is now going to work for the rest of the football season. Whenever I do your show, I'm going to find myself some side seats.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk. There you go.
So comfy.
Okay, this is how that's going to happen, my friend. First of all, this defense was incredibly impressive. You talked about Sean McVay being 38 years of age. His defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, is also 38 years of age, and he dialed up pressure throughout this game. You and Luke were talking about just how dominant this defensive line was. Nobody had more than 2 sacks of the group. They just came from everywhere. When they needed pressure, they brought it. They were aggressive throughout this game. Darnold got sacked twice in the first 2 series, and you could tell that took a toll as this game presented itself. And, you know, even a guy like Justin Jefferson, who takes advantage of everybody, the Rams secondary did not let him take this game over as well. So a complete defensive performance on all 3 levels. And, you know, I think this is something this group can really build on, because when you look at this team, you always think of the Rams as an offensive unit, but defensively, this is a very, very young group. They have come of age earlier than anybody thought they would, and I think that, as much as anything, is how they've been able to handle all the injuries early on in the season, the 1-4 start, all of it. They rode the back of their defense until the offense caught up, and you saw both sides on display tonight.
You seem very comfortable answering that question. I really like you sitting down.
Very comfortable,
yes.
This
is wonderful for you. I want to talk about Sam Darnold. I'd hate to be his agent right now. The last 2 games have been real rough. I asked Luke this question earlier. I'll ask you. You've got J.J. McCarthy ready to come back, the Michigan product. You maybe even have Daniel Jones next year. Are you moving on from Sam Darnold if you're Minnesota?
Well, I think it's a question now, and I think 2 games ago it wasn't a question. This guy was one of the feel-good stories of the season throughout the NFL. Next year they're going to offer a Most Improved Player award. I think if they did that this year, Sam Darnold would probably get it. Really resurrected his career on a show-me type deal, and he absolutely showed them. And Kevin O'Connell loves this guy. He was so consistent throughout the year. You got the sense they wanted to do anything possible to sign him and keep him in the building. He looked so uncomfortable in this game. We talked about the pass rush, and that affected his decision-making throughout. You know, he was late on the throw that led to the interception. He missed receivers throughout this game. Just simple throws where he just missed inside, just missed outside. Deep connections to Addison and Jefferson, which were money in the bank during the season, weren't there in this game. You know, you give up the strip sack that also leads to a really critical touchdown. He just showed a real lack of mobility in this game, scrambled up the middle for one long gain, but other than that, you know, he looked comfortable. He looked like at times he was looking at the pass rush. So what do you do? Because if you decide to franchise him, which many people thought was going to be the way to go to push the decision down a road, that's going to be a cap hit of just under $50 million, depending on how Brock Purdy and some of the other quarterbacks come in. So is J.J. McCarthy ready? Is he even going to be ready for the start of next season? So I don't know that Daniel Jones is a real factor in any of this, but I think 2 weeks ago, Sam Darnold was going to be back. Now, you've got to really think about it and take a deep look as to whether or not you want to pay him for as long as he's going to want to be paid.
Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned how much you were impressed with the Rams' defense. How about the offensive side of the ball? Talk about Sean McVay's game plan in this one.
Yeah, Sean McVay was aggressive early in this game, and, you know, especially with the play action game, because his offense is really built on that. I mean, there's a lot of West Coast principles, but it's a lot of boots and a lot of play actions, and you saw that early on. First play of the game, a 27-yard pass off play action to Puka Nacua. First play of the second series, deep off play action to Robinson. So those plays were able to really set the tone in terms of keeping Minnesota's defense off balance and really giving Brian Flores a lot to think about. The boot down at the goal line for the touchdown was a play action. So really all of it a real aggressive approach to this game. When you look at Matthew Stafford, he was 8 of 10 on play action, and really all of that happened in the first 2.5 quarters of the game. So now, can they carry that over to next week in Philadelphia? You're here, you're comfortable, some emotion from what happened with the Fires this week in LA played a lot into it. Now you got to go to a hostile environment, and that is a big-time defense in Philadelphia. They can get after it. They can get after you with just 4. They don't need to show a lot of exotic pressure, so that allows you to defend play action and some of the things that McVay likes to do. So I'm curious to see what adjustments he makes in terms of handling what's going to be the best defense he faces at any point this season.
Now you head to Kansas City, I know, and I get to talk to you after Texans and Chiefs this Saturday. I'm working Saturday. I heard you were working Saturday, so I said, my guy Farhan's working. I got to work too.
Wow, which means you're going to get 2 extra days off on the back end. I'm going from there to Atlanta for the national championship, so I hope you will join me for both events, and I will look for side seats at both venues, Jay.
I got to say, you sit down very, very well. That's Farhan Lalji, our NFL reporter, everybody.